It's no secret that the TOEFL reading section is tough, especially when it comes to time management. It's so hard, in fact, that on August 1st, 2019, the TOEFL changed the amount of questions that they give on the TOEFL reading to make it more manageable. But it's still tough to answer all of the questions in the time that you're given. So today, I want to show you my exact step-by-step process I use and that my students use to help make sure that you answer all the questions in the time that you're given. So, my name is Josh McPherson. I am the head instructor at TST Prep, where our mission is simple: to help you get the TOEFL score you need as quickly and easily as possible. And today, I'm going to share with you my little secret for making sure you answer all the questions in the TOEFL reading. So to start, I just want to give you a little background. I started teaching TOEFL about 5 or 6 years ago now, and it was really tough because my students were still struggling with time management. They knew all the question strategy, they knew all the tips and tricks, but they still couldn't answer all the questions in time. And it was a struggle. So I really wanted to find a great way to make sure that they answer all of the questions. So before I get into that actual step-by-step strategy, let me just show you the new structure of the TOEFL reading. So the TOEFL reading section is now 3 passages, always been 3 passages, always been 2,100 words, which is basically 700 words per minute. The amount of questions and time has changed. So in the past you had 60 minutes, now you have 54 minutes. And in the past you had around 40 questions, but now you have only 30 questions. 10 questions per passage. Now, also, by the way, let me just mention this, that you can download the PDF version of this guide as well if you want it in a kind of digital paper version, so to speak, so you can actually look at this guide. So what I'm going to do is that now that you know just the slight little background about the TOEFL reading, now you know that there's 3 passages and they're pretty long and that you have to answer 30 questions. Let's look at the actual process. And what it is that we're going to follow 4 rules when you do a TOEFL reading. And the first rule is that you're going to take notes and circle. Now, the best way for me to explain this is to just show you an example. Now, if you notice here, when I say take notes, I hope you're not too scared. These are my notes. So they're not very long. You don't take notes about the reading passage. You don't write anything about the passage, actually. You take notes about the questions. And this is what you write down. You write down the question numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, for example, if you're doing one passage. And then while you're taking the test, the eliminated option. So in other words, when you are looking at the test, you're looking at question 1 and you're not sure what the answer is, but you know it's not A, cross it out. You know it's not C, you cross it out. I write that on my piece of paper. That way I know that I've already eliminated it. It's hard for me to focus on all of these different text and different choices. So by having it on that paper, I can see, oh yeah, I eliminated A, I eliminated C, I got to look at the other choices. That's one thing you can do. And another thing you can do is write down the questions that are confusing. So if you see here, I circled number 2. Why did I circle number 2? I circled number 2 because I'm not sure if that's the correct answer or not. So I'm not sure if it's the correct answer. I'm going to circle it on my scrap paper, and when I go back at the end, I can go back to this question and I can know which question I'm not sure about. All right, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, so let me just stop there and just say for now, all you have to do is write down the numbers of each question. If you want, you can write down the choices that you eliminate. And if there's a question that you're a little confused about, you're not sure if you got it correct, go ahead and circle it. All right. Now, the reason why this works is because this is how the test looks. Okay, so when you actually take the test, you get 1 question per page, so to speak. So you only see 1 question at a time. So you don't know, it's hard to remember which question you did well, which question you were confused by. That's why you circle on the scrap piece of paper. So after you get a question, after you answer a question, you could push the next button, you can go back and so on. But just for now, just so you know, this is what the test looks like basically. There's only 1 question on each page, and so you want to keep track of the questions that you're not sure how you answered, and if you're not sure if you need to go back. Okay? All right, so Next thing, rule number 2, is to watch the clock. Of course, watching the clock is important, but let's be a little more specific here. And what I mean by watch the clock is that you should have a certain time management system. Some people teach students about question types and how long to take. So for example, a vocabulary question takes 60 seconds, but a detail question takes 90 seconds. Now, when you're taking the test, you don't want to remember all these question types and all the time that you have to do for each question type. That would be pretty hard, and it would be confusing. So you don't want to remember for each question type. Instead, think about 5-minute intervals. This is going to be an easier way to help you kind of manage your time as you go. Basically, since there's 54 minutes to answer 30 questions, you have to finish 10 questions every 18 minutes, pretty much. Okay? So that's the big one that you need to think of. At 18 minutes, I should be done with one passage. Right? At 36 minutes, I should be done with the second passage. And here's a breakdown of 5-minute intervals, so you can get an idea of it. If you notice at minute number 50, I say question 29, and that's because you want to leave yourself some time at the end to go back if you can. If you can leave a few minutes, you definitely want to do that. Okay, so that's the second rule, is to watch the clock and watch it in 5-minute intervals. And at the worst case, watch it in 18-minute intervals because, again, you have 18 minutes to complete each passage. All right, hope that's clear. So far, you're going to take notes and circle. And the next thing you're going to do is watch the clock at 5-minute intervals or 18-minute intervals. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're not going to skip any question. Do not skip a question. Again, the questions go in order, that they go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also they go in order of the text. Question number 1 is in paragraph 1. Question number 2 is in paragraph 1 or 2. Question number 3 is after that. So the questions go in order that it shows up in the passage. So our brains like stories. We remember things better when it's in a kind of story. So when you, let's say, skip question number 2, and then go back at the end, it's going to be hard for you to remember the story. It's hard for you to remember what was going on in the passage. You're going to have to read a lot more. So instead, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you answer every single question. And this goes back to rule number 1, take notes and circle. Answer the question, circle it. Don't skip it, circle it. This is how you're going to keep track of the questions that you're not sure about and you want to go back. Okay, so you want to guesstimate is the word that I like to use. So guesstimate is basically like estimate and guess, guesstimate. So you're not sure if it's B or D. It's taking you a long time. You have to move on to the next question. All right, I'm going to just guesstimate, guess and estimate, and I'm just going to guess it's B. And then I will circle this question number in my notes. So then I know I should go back later. So don't skip a question. Answer the question and move on. A lot of people skip a question because they're running out of time. Instead, answer the question, circle it on your scrap paper, the number, and then move on. All right? So that's the third rule. Now, rule number 4, last rule, is review your answers. Try to leave yourself enough time at the end to go back. Again, you have circled some answers, you've circled some numbers, and you want to go back to check those answers again. So leave 2 minutes at the end to go back. The more time you can leave, the better, but yeah, try to leave at least 2 minutes at the end to go back. This is also a good idea to keep in mind to make sure that you answer everything in time. All right? And when you go back, you can actually jump to different questions. This is what the review button looks like on the TOEFL. It'll tell you which questions you've answered and which questions you haven't answered. So you can always look at that review button. But again, I wouldn't look at it until after you answered everything. Don't jump around too much on the TOEFL. Go in the order that they present everything in. It'll be a lot easier to answer everything. All right? So again, you go back and you look at the numbers that you circled, right? So you have in your notes, you circled some numbers, go back to those numbers. All right, so that's pretty much it. Most important points to consider. Use your scrap paper to take notes, okay? You get a piece of paper and a pencil. Use it to, again, we're not really taking notes, we're just writing down numbers and the choices that we want to eliminate and questions that we're not sure about. Circle questions you need to review, right? I've said it a couple times. I guess you know by now. Answer at least 10 questions every 18 minutes. So 10 questions is one passage. Try to answer each one in 18 minutes. Guesstimate and review later. If you're not sure, just take a guess and move on. And the last one, leave a few minutes at the end to review so you can check those ones that you've circled. And that's about it, guys. Oh yeah, one more thing. You can also download the PDF version of this. You'll see it somewhere in the description that you can find a link to this PDF, and you can download that as well to help you manage your time. But I hope you guys got a lot out of this. Again, you could always visit our site, tstprep.com, for more. So thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.